From the late 40s to the early 50s, Frank repeatedly submitted his photographic stories to Life magazine. None of the stories were ever published. So with Walker Evans' encouragement, he applied to the Guggenheim Foundation for a fellowship to travel around the United States and record it. He got the fellowship in 1955 and drove around the country for over 9 months. I certainly don't think he expected to get the reaction that he did. You have people reviling it really as an anti-American statement, and yet only 5, 6, 7 years later, it does start to become so passionately embraced by people around the world. He had in total 760 rolls of film, more than 27,000 frames. When I was writing my essay on his travels for the Guggenheim trip, I looked back through all the contact sheets in chronological order, so I literally could sort of follow his route around the country. And I realized that as soon as he got to each of the places where he stopped to photograph, he almost immediately alighted on one or two things that he felt symbolized that place. So the book is first published in France in 1958 and has been reprinted several times. And each time that he reprinted the book, he went back and slightly recropped the images. The printing itself is also different from one edition to another. In the later editions, they're often showing more of the surrounding environment. The printing becomes much more harsh, much more contrasty. And that I've always found fascinating, because if you look at the earlier editions, you see that it's sort of a much richer, fuller, more poetic expression than those later reprintings would lead you to believe. My essay on the sequencing of the photographs, that was really the hardest one for me to write. When I sent that chapter to him, I was very hesitant about what his response might be. And he wrote me back and he said that that chapter contained all of his thinking about the sequencing of the Americans, but he only realized it after he read what I wrote. The sequence of the 83 photographs absolutely never changed. It's probably one of the most powerful and creative uses of a photographic sequence, certainly that had been done to that point, and many would say in the 20th century.